Good afternoon, friends, and welcome to the time of reflection coming to you from the studio of Faith Temple Assembly of God here in the beautiful city of Montego Bay. I'm Bishop Conor Pitkin, your host for today. We are currently streaming on Facebook and YouTube at Faith Temple AOG, and you can also find us on Cornwall Communication at channel 253 Faith Broadcasting Network. Today, as I mentioned yesterday, that I'll be having visitors with me. I have two beautiful ladies in studio. Mrs. Nadine Simmons Lewis, regional nutritionist with the Western Region Health Authority, and a young, vibrant, beautiful student from UTEC. She's also a nutrition student at UTEC in Montego Bay. She is Ms. Shabel Goldson. Ladies, it is so good to have you with us today. And we are hoping to share an exciting moment as we talk about salt. If you'd like to reach us, friend, by telephone, we can be reached at 952-3436-979-6856, and you may write a message to us, a question or a prayer request on our YouTube page, and we ask you kindly when you go to our YouTube channel, please subscribe. Also on our Facebook page, you may send us a message or a request. We would love to hear from you. Call a friend, a family member, and ask them to share with you. Time of reflection is on, and today we are in discussions. But before we get into our discussion with our visitors, just leave you a word for today. And it comes to us from Matthew chapter 5 and the 13th verse. Ye are the salt of the earth, but if the salt have lost its savour, wherewith shall it be salted? It is henceforth good for nothing, but to be cast out and to be trodden under foot of men. This is the word of the Lord. I particularly choose this thought for today as we are going to discuss with our guest the whole question of the importance of salt, the effectiveness of salt in your life, in your diet. So we are not going all spiritual today. We hope to enlighten you somewhat. Just a few days ago, was March 13th, the Health Department celebrated Salt Awareness Week. So we have our friends with us today. So, welcome again, ladies.
Thank you.
It's a joy to have you with us today. What are you sharing with us?
Alright, so as Minister Pitkin pointed out earlier, last week, March 7 to 12, we celebrated Salt Awareness Week. So even though we're a bit late, we still want to share that information with
Never
you.
too late.
Right. So we still want to share that information with you. Alright? And so what I'm sharing with you today is we're trying to enlighten individuals as to how much salt they're consuming in their diet, the effects of salt as well. Alright, so with the COVID-19 global pandemic, it has changed our lives in numerous ways, right? We have to be following protocols now. So many of us, we are probably under stay-at-home order, right? And if you were the type of person who you would normally eat out a lot, this opportunity has given you a chance to eat more at home. So prepare more meals at home, right? So you can reduce the amount of salt that you use to prepare your food, all right? And it may seem as though the only way to add flavor to your food is just a little pinch of salt. But we're here to share with you some tips today to help you reduce the salt, because we know that consuming too much salt can increase your risk of developing high blood pressure, heart disease, or even a stroke.
Wow. Um, yes, eating outside
Mm.
sometimes can be a challenge.
Yes.
Sometimes you have to, you order the food but you can't have it because. But tell us, Miss Bosa, why is salt called a silent killer? I mean, it's something that we love. It gives flavor to the food. When I was growing up as a child, back up in the country, you put a tip of salt in your coffee because you must have flavor. So
Yes.
why is it called a silent killer?
Alright. So we don't refer to salt as the silent killer. We call hypertension the salt.
Oh,
The silent
hypertension
killer.
is the
Yes,
silent
that's
killer,
the silent
and not
killer.
the salt.
And not the salt, right?
All
So
right.
the disease is what we refer to as the silent killer.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason for it to be referred to as the silent killer is because it shows no obvious symptoms. So like if you had the flu, you know you'd experience a cough or a fever or a runny nose.
Mm-hmm.
With high blood pressure or hypertension, there's no obvious signs, right? It's just an underlying condition where you go to the doctor and the doctor might test a pressure at that point in time, and the reading might be high. So what we consider normal reading is 120/80,
Okay.
and that's a normal reading. So reading is higher than that, you possibly are in the pre-hypertensive category, or if it's higher than 130/80, then the doctor might prescribe it with diagnose you with high blood pressure.
Mm-hmm. 120 over
80.
80.
Yes.
Less than.
But at your age, are you 120/80 or 120/70? I am supposed to be 120/80, right? Just kidding. Okay, all right. But tell us a little more about salt, because I'm not sure that a lot of persons are aware that although salt brings flavor to the food, it can be dangerous. It can be unhealthy. These days, I find that when I tell some the meal is too salt, they look surprised. They say to me, but I hardly use any salt in it, and I'm saying, but it is too salt for me.
Mm-hmm.
So, tell us more about salt.
Alright. So salt, what it really is, it's a combination of two elements. And the two elements are sodium and chloride. So the sodium is the aspect of the salt that we usually pay attention to. Alright, so sodium is a mineral and it's essential, which means the body needs it to be healthy, right? Alright, so some functions of sodium in the body: it helps with muscle contractions, it helps with nerve impulses, as well as it helps to keep your fluid in the body. So water, it helps to keep the water balance in your body, right? But as adults, we tend to intake too much sodium at any one point in time. And the recommended amount of sodium for a healthy individual is 2,300 milligrams,
Okay.
which is roughly equivalent to 1 teaspoon of salt. An individual who has been diagnosed with high blood pressure, we recommend 1,150 milligrams to 1,500 milligrams of sodium, or equivalent to half teaspoon of salt for that individual.
So, like me now,
Mm-hmm.
I must have half teaspoon or quarter teaspoon or no teaspoon at all.
Have you been diagnosed with high blood pressure?
Well, that's what they say. A lot of Jamaicans are diagnosed with,
Yes.
with high blood pressure.
Yes, so we
Yes.
recommend for
So-
you 1,150 to 1,500
I'm
milligrams
writing it down, you know.
of sodium, and that is for good control.
And 50.5.
Yes.
There are some product
Mm.
they purchase with high concentrate of sodium.
Mhm.
Right.
I'll mention a few. You can help with others. Be the nutritionist.
Yes.
I noticed that Mrs. Wolfram, Mrs. Simmons Lewis. Mrs. Simmons Lewis is quiet. So I'm going to ask saltfish, pig's tail,
Yes.
Yes.
salted mackerel,
Yes.
corn pork, or anything that is used with put in
Cured.
brine
It's cured. Yes.
with salt peat
Right.
would have a high concentrate of sodium.
Yes. They do.
Should persons be more restrictive or careful of how much of these products they consume?
Yes, definitely.
Why?
Alright. Alright. So,
Because I love my saltfish and ackee.
yeah, saltfish and how many times for the week would you have saltfish and ackee?
I don't know, in ackee time I might have it 3 or 4 times.
Exactly, that is too much salt for that particular week. And how much ounces of saltfish are you having in the ackee?
I'm not sure, but I like to have saltfish and ackee, not ackee and saltfish.
Right. So that would mean that in that particular sitting alone, if you're having that for breakfast, and you said your recommended amount is between 1150 to 1500 grams of sodium, you're probably consuming that amount in that one
In that
sitting.
one time.
Yes.
Or maybe more,
Or
because the
maybe
sodium
more.
is in that saltfish,
Saltfish alone.
which is more than just simple salt,
Yes.
because the way it is prepared or
Yes,
cured.
and if you add more seasonings, and if you're adding more seasonings to the ackee as well, when you prepare it, that's additional sodium weight as well.
Thank you.
And also, if you are cooking the, let's say, bananas or the ground provision, and you add salt
Salt
to
to
that
that also.
pot, then you will be increasing your intake of salt.
Wow. Thank you for that information. Folks, are you getting it today? If some of you are like me, that means you're to cut down your ackee and saltfish if you are hypertensive to a maximum of 2 per week. They didn't tell me that. I am saying cut it down to possible 2 per week. And if you love mackerel rundown like I do, I mean with the real coconut thing, you can only have 1 per week. Because a lot of us, we love these things.
Yes.
And Jamaicans really, it's a part of our dish,
taste,
especially
yes.
during ackee time.
Yes.
Thank you. So you said that I should not consume ackee and saltfish 2-3 times a week. That's 3-4 times a week, and that's only 4 times. That was exaggerating, really. So, if I'm not supposed to, I need to know why. What are the implications of too much salt?
So, as I pointed out earlier, hypertension is it's a disease that is caused by consuming too much sodium, right? Alright, let me explain to you how is it that sodium increases the risk of high blood pressure. Alright. You're eating a lot of fried foods, highly processed foods, and those are high in cholesterol. So when you go out and you eat KFC or Burger King or the fried foods, right?
I'm not saying a word. But I am not promoting it. So I don't want to say that they cost us talk against cases.
Okay. Alright.
Well, you can go ahead.
So
go
when
ahead.
you go out and you eat fried foods, right? They tend to be high in cholesterol.
Yeah.
Based on how they are prepared, right? So what it does is it tends to, if you're consuming too much of those fried foods, there's a thing that we call plaque that builds up in the walls of your arteries. Right? And when your heart is supposed to pump the blood through, and the walls of the arteries are blocked by that plaque, there needs to be more pressure for the blood to be passed through the arteries. So that increases your blood pressure. That is how sometimes when I go to the doctor, your blood pressure reading is high, or it's higher than 120/80. It's probably like maybe 170/90. I've met with clients who their blood pressure is 189/106. And when you do a diet history and you find out what they've been eating, they've been having a lot of processed foods. And what we call processed foods, that those foods that have been prepared in some type of way, they're not fresh. So all those canned goods, frozen goods, some frozen goods are also processed, but those frozen goods tend to be lower in sodium than the canned goods, because sodium is used as a preservative in most of the canned goods and the processed foods as well.
Well, I pat myself on my shoulder. I'm not a canned food person. And some things I'm not into fast food.
Okay.
If I have one, maybe it's one every 2-3 months.
Good.
If I do have fast food, 'cause I don't really, at my age, you don't
Just
eat
as a
fast
treat.
food. Mrs. Simmons Lewis will tell you that. Well, I put her in my age limit, please. But I go for more like a lot of fruits now.
Great.
But you mentioned earlier that the salt balance the water in your body, and your body is made up of fluid, right?
Yes.
More than anything else.
70%.
70% your body is fluid. For me, who drink a lot of water and less salt, how do I balance that? Because I will drink a liter, maybe 2 liters of water for the day.
Yes, there are mechanisms within the body that makes for the balance, even
so my
because
own enzymes in my body will make up
so
for
the whole system, right?
Yeah,
and
for-
so the
yeah.
kidney helps in terms of
Exactly.
generating the urine and so on. So you
Yes.
can get rid of that and so on. So
Because I take less salt,
yes,
but mine takes a lot of water.
Right.
I don't drink. I call them fuzzy drink. I mean, I don't
okay,
know. But you know these quote-unquote sodas. I don't drink sodas. I hardly even drink. I don't drink tinned juice.
juices, great,
I rather my own juice at home. my own
natural,
fruit juice at
homemade.
home.
Okay,
Yeah, my
great.
homemade fruit juice. I stay away from most of those things.
That is great.
So for the entire week, I might just drink water and
Okay,
and nothing else.
That is good.
That's
a
good.
very good practice.
That's great.
I want to be sure that I'm on the right
Yes,
path.
you are.
Yes,
you are.
Yes, yes.
Because inevitably you're consuming less calories anyway, so the weight will not go on when you substitute your water,
And
your
then I
juice
try
with
to do a
water.
little bit of exercise.
And that's even
That's good.
great.
That's
Yes.
better.
So, Miss Golson, can we reduce the amount of salt that we consume?
Definitely. It all comes down to you as an individual, the choices that you make when you're preparing a meal. Right? Alright, so if you're at home and you're preparing a meal, as Mrs. Lewis was pointing out earlier, if you're having ackee and saltfish, and you're cooking food with that, you tend to add salt to the food pot.
Yep.
Right? So
And if you're washing the vegetable, you wash it in
with
salt.
salt, right?
Oh,
So-
yes. Mhm.
Yes. So what you can do as a way to reduce that is just use your plain water. When you're washing the vegetables, there's no need to add salt. And if you're cooking the food and you're having ackee and saltfish, there's no need to add
But
salt to that pot.
Miss Golson, I don't know where the vegetable is coming from. What do I do? Help me, please, nutritionist.
So
'cause I
there,
don't know where the family is coming from. I need to find a way to get whatever is on that vegetable off of it as much as I can. Sometimes when you bring the vegetable home, especially the cauliflower, the broccoli, and you go in between and the worms are still there, and you have to make sure you clean them out and get them out. What do I do to
yes,
wash
so we
that
can
vegetable?
run it under a pipe so it runs through. Yes. So for example, your lettuce, you take the leaves off,
Yes.
and you have that pipe, and you basically would say wash it off. Yes, you can also, in terms of for sanitization, you could add a little bleach. I won't say the amount. No, I'm not. I can't recall.
Okay.
But we could contact the health department and the public health inspectors. They will be able
Just a
to
tip.
direct us, right?
Okay.
So you can use that in the water. So you can use that as a sanitizing solution.
Okay.
So that would get rid of some of the
Because
unwanted.
I get folks asking, so if I can't use salt, what do I use? You
Yes,
know,
yes.
so
But there
we
is a
need to
limit.
know.
There is a mixing, what should I say, direction for the to add the right the bleach to the water.
Okay,
So we have to
okay,
be-
okay,
yes, we need to
okay,
be aware of that,
great.
because we do not want to poison ourselves with.
Okay. So as we go along, you want to give us some of the steps that, and then we're going to break a little bit between. I trust our technician is there, and we're going to break shortly with a song from Brother Miguel, if she can find it. The goodness of God. But just give us a couple of the tips that you have on the consumption of salt.
So to help in reducing the amount of salt that you consume, I can share with you 5 tips. Right? So number 1, we want you to think fresh. And what I mean think fresh is use your fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, fresh herbs and spices. Right? So reduce your processed foods, your canned foods, etc. Because we know that the more processed an item is, the higher the salt is in that particular food.
Okay.
Right? With COVID now, another tip. With COVID now, and we're at home, you have a chance to prepare more meals at home. So there you can monitor the amount of salt that you put into a food that you eat. We want you to eat a lot of fruits and vegetables. Those are naturally low in sodium. So that's another good tip.
Also, I was talking about the fruits and vegetables. I was going a little bit. All right, before going on to the others, can you give us that song, please, Brother Miguel? Did you mention these 4 tips that nutrition
that
facts?
would be-
So you're gonna bring those at the end there. All right. So put this. Now let it stay where it is.
Mercy never fails me. All my days, I've been held in your hands. From the moment that I wake up till I lay my head, I will sing of the goodness of God. I love you, Lord. I love you, Lord. For your mercy never fails me. All my days, I've been held in your hand. From the moment that I wake up until I lay my head, I will sing of the goodness of God. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. I love your voice. You have led me through the fire in darkest night. You are close like no other. I've known you as a father. I've known you as a friend. And I have lived goodness of God. Hey. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. Your goodness is running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. With my life laid out, I'm surrendered now. I give you everything. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me.
Goodness is running after me. Thank you, Brother Miguel and company. I hope you enjoyed that. I just love that song. I decided this year that we are going to play it at every one of our midday reflection. God has been so good, and we thank God for his goodness, for his mercy, for having kept us through 2019. It was a rough year, but God is good. We're going to continue our discussion with Miss Golson and Mrs. Lewis. I think we're on tip number 3.
Yes. All right. So, as I was saying before we took a break, I was saying to fill up on your fruits and vegetables. Those are naturally lower in sodium. And another tip we can leave with you is to adjust your taste buds.
That's a tough one.
And what I mean by that is we are highly attuned to a lot of salt. So we have a high affinity for the salt taste. So we know that it can be difficult to adjust your taste buds. We're not going to say it's going to be overnight. It's going to take some time. So what we recommend is gradually you reduce the amount of salt or the amount of sodium that you use to prepare your meals, or the amount of processed foods that you would take in at any one point in time.
I don't know. Well, I can't use me to judge others, but I can speak from my perspective. I never, even before I was diagnosed hypertensive, I guess the doctor is being more careful. I never liked too much salt, not too much sweet.
Good.
So if whatever it is too sweet, I'm not going to consume it. If in my estimation it is too salt, I won't.
Okay.
When I go to restaurant now, I have my very favorite country style restaurant in Kingston, Sonia's Country Style. If you guys are listening to me, I have given a little bit of advertisement today, Sonia. And I would say to my server, please check the other saltfish and callaloo, mackerel. I said, check it for me. If it's too salt, please don't bring it. I'll have something else. And they're very kind, and they will go in and make sure they come back and say, oh, I don't think you should have that today, or, you know.
That's
Yeah, because I guess they know me very well now. That, and even before, and that's what I do. I'm going to leave it if it's too salt. So thank you for that. That's important. But that taste bud thing, Miss Golson, I don't know you adjust your taste bud, but I'll try.
Yes,
you can try, friends. I'm good, but you can try.
yes. What happens is we tend to introduce the salty taste, especially to our young children, so they grow up liking that taste. So we recommend you not incorporating any additional salt, especially if the child is under 2 years old.
Okay.
We don't want any added salt for them as yet, because that is where they tend to develop the like for salt. And as they progress into adulthood, that's why they make the decisions based on the salt taste that they were introduced to from birth.
I see what you eliminate salt and experiment with natural herbs. Talk to us.
All right.
Oh boy, that's
some persons.
it's a tough one.
Some persons, they can eat for health and not taste, right? Some persons will eat for health and not taste. So if you're one of those persons, they can just go ahead and skip the salt altogether. So using the fresh herbs and spices, the ginger, garlic, thyme, turmeric, and scallion, right? When you blend those and you add them to your food, they can enhance the flavor without the addition of salt.
And we have the pimento.
And the pimento, yes.
Oh, yeah, the pimento, the rosemary.
The lemongrass can be used as well.
Really?
Yes.
How do you use a lemongrass? I just plant what? 1, 2, 3 plants at home, because I used to get somebody normally bring to me and I say, you know something, I need to be more self-sufficient. So bring me a plant of the lemongrass. So you're always bringing me lemongrass. Yes. I'll always need lemongrass. So if you bring me the plant, I'll have my own lemongrass. Great. So I have 3 plants at home, and one is so luscious and pretty now. So tell me, how do you put the lemongrass in the... Hear me?
In the same way you would add your rosemary. I mean, you would not want to have because you know that it has a pungent flavor, yes?
Yes.
So small amounts, just to add that little
So you do ground it or cut it small.
You could cut it small, right? Or if it's dry, you could just, use a finger and just crush it and you just sprinkle.
Over it.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
I hope the folks at home listening. Thank you. That's new. So use your garlic, and a lot of persons are using turmeric more now than ever before. Yes. I don't know, but since COVID, persons are using it for tea. They are putting it in almost every meal that they're having. Yes, and they're using more garlic, and they're using a lot more ginger.
Which is good.
Yes.
Because when they add these, as Ms. Golson says, it helps to cut down on the use of the salt that you put. One of the things that we may point out, though, is that even though we're talking about salt in its form as the white crystals, we have to be aware that some of the powdered seasonings, they are very high in sodium. And so persons will say, but I don't use salt. But then they add the powdered seasoning, which is high in sodium also. And so
I was going to ask that question, because a lot of the seasoning that you purchase, it's good that you read, and I guess you're going to go to that later on, read the label before, because you have those that they say they're salt-free, and there are those with salt. Because even though I said I don't eat like tea, every now and then I might have a little bit of corned beef and cabbage, because I'm not really a tin person. But you change up your diet every now and then. So I look for the label to see if it's that one is salt-free or less amount of salt before I purchase.
Yes, great.
So I guess that's where you're going to go next. Tell us about, what is it, nutritional facts?
Yes.
All right.
One of the ways how you are able to know the amount of salt that you're consuming, or sodium rather, that you're consuming in a particular product, is to read the food label. And on the food label, we have a section we call the nutrition facts panel. And that is usually located at the back or sometimes on the side of the item. Okay? And in the container, we have to identify the serving size and the amount of servings per container.
You're not hearing her?
None at all?
Take off the thing. Lift your voice now.
Alright, so on the food container,
Hearing us now? Okay.
on the container we have the food label, and a section of it is where we call the nutrition facts panel. Right? And that is where you find the nutrients that are in that particular food and the quantities that they are in. Right? We also need to identify the serving size.
Yeah, so you're telling me that when I go to the supermarket, I must read the fact panel before I purchase?
Yes.
Don't take me 3, 4, 5 the amount of time I normally stay in there. But it's important.
It is important. It is very
Okay,
important.
all right.
Right? So we have to identify the serving size as well as the amount of or the number of servings in that particular
Container.
container.
Wow.
Right? Because all the nutrients that are listed on the back, that would have been for one serving of the food. So if the container contains 2 servings, you'd have to multiply all the values that are below by 2 if you alone are going to consume everything that is in that
So I mean I have to
package.
use it in 2 than all at once.
Yes.
Amen.
Right? Right. So we wanted to check to see how many servings, and since we're focusing on salt, in a product that has 2 servings and the sodium content is say 470 milligrams, right? That 470 milligrams is in 1 serving of the food. And if you eat the entire can or the entire box of that item, you'd have to multiply that 470 milligrams by 2, which is roughly equivalent to, let's say, about 900 milligrams.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
I thought you just cut it into 25. Wow.
That is roughly 900 milligrams of sodium you're consuming in that one sitting. And remember I said earlier, if you're hypertensive, 1150 to 1500 milligrams of sodium. And if you're healthy without any disease condition, it's 2300 milligrams. So in that one food, you're consuming probably more than half of your recommended amount of sodium for the day in that one food. You haven't taken into consideration what you had for breakfast, what you're going to have for lunch, and what you have for dinner. So you have to be mindful.
You're almost telling me that it is difficult to maintain a balanced diet unless I come see Miss Lewis every week and she give me this little matches box and said, this is the amount of meat you're to eat. And she give me this little thing and said, this is the amount that you're to eat. And then she give me an appointment to come at the 25th of next month again. That's what you're telling me. Because I don't know if I'm that disciplined.
We try to share the information where we have it as much as possible so we can educate individuals. Reading food labels, it takes a while. You have to understand the many factors that go into it, and then what we teach you, then you apply to your daily life.
You need a father to adopt you. You need another father. All my children are grown older than you. You sure you want that father to adopt you?
After a while, though, you
Yes.
get accustomed to
You get accustomed
so,
to it.
Yes.
Wow.
So, yes. And since it is for your own good, you would want to
Yes,
ensure that
yes.
it is done.
And the honest truth, well, everybody knows I love shopping. I used to go to the market, and I have somebody
So you
go
love
for me.
it.
No, but I love going to the food market, and I love going to the supermarket. But men are different from women.
True.
They say we are from what? Mars, and women are from Venus. But I just go in and pick up and full my cart, and I'm gone. You see the female there looking carefully and putting it back down and taking up back something. But you're telling me that even as a man, I must go in there, be patient, and read the label.
Read the
Yes,
label.
Miss Chloe.
I may just interject though. In recent days, maybe you would have heard some advertisements on the radio or on the television about the whole front of package labeling. So if you have those signals that say to you, when you look at a color, it says, "Oh, this is danger," so you automatically know that something's wrong. So it's easier. It would
So I
make
have to go
life,
study the color code now.
so it would make life a little easier.
Oh, man, you tell me
know.
to go and watch TV more, that which I hardly have time to do.
Make life a
Okay,
little
thank you. Go ahead.
Alright, and
I'm enjoying this. I hope you ladies are. I'm really enjoying it.
alright, so saying earlier, the 470 milligrams is in one serving, and that is roughly 20% of your total daily amount of sodium that you're supposed to intake. So for a person who has been diagnosed as hypertensive, a 20% daily value in one serving of food would be too high for them. So we wanted to choose foods that have 5% or less sodium in one serving of that food, of that particular food. And the canned foods, they tend to be high,
In sodium.
especially in
Sodium
sodium.
concentration.
Yes.
Well, I trust that I will develop that patience. When I go to the supermarket next, I'll make sure I have enough time that I can go and look and put down and look.
You know, it can be quick, because if you know you're hypertensive.
That's when you know. Well,
No.
that's when you know the things and you know the color. You know the color code. It can be quick. You know where to look for this and to look for that. Yeah, but if
It
not,
grows on you,
Yeah,
so when you go,
over
you will know
time.
that product. No,
No,
you know, I will not
yes.
take that product
Well,
or so on. So
I guess
it
I
grows
just
on you after a
stick
while.
with the things I do. My vegetables,
Your fresh meat.
my fruit. No, hardly eat meat.
Meat,
Okay.
My fish. I eat meat not very often. When my fish is finished
Okay.
and I don't have another supply, I will go to the meat. But I don't eat a lot of meat
Okay.
anymore.
Okay.
But I consume a whole lot. I'll buy 15 pounds of fish at any one time.
Okay, great. All right.
And I try my best to get the fish from fishermen who
Okay.
don't go
Go
too
up.
far.
Okay.
So I don't
No preservative.
consume a lot of the preserved, the frozen and
Yes.
preserved ones. And so,
Okay.
are you from Montego Bay also?
No, I am originally from Clarendon, but I
You're from
guess
Clarendon.
I've been in Montego Bay over 20 years, so maybe I'm Montegonian
No
now.
worry, I'm here for 30 odd years, so
Yes.
but there's no sea in Clarendon, is there?
Yes, Rocky Point.
Rocky Point, that's
Yes,
right.
the
Oh
fish.
yeah, around that side, I
Yes.
don't know. But thank you. I thought you come from my country where you get good fish. But at least you're close to Old Harbor. And Rocky Point is a good place.
Yes.
Yes, so ladies, thank you very much. You have a closing statement, Miss.
Yes, I do. So we're just recommending reducing salt intake to reduce your risk of heart disease, high blood pressure, and stroke. And with COVID-19 now, I've realized that many of the persons who have died, they have underlying conditions, right? So we need to take care of ourselves. So you have to be the one to make the decision to take care of yourself. So we're sharing the information with you, and we'll hope you use it to the best of your ability.
Thank you. Mrs. Lewis, I know you spoke less, but you want to give us a statement?
Right. I just want to just tell us, the listening public, the viewers, that, there is life after COVID. And so we have to ensure that we protect ourselves as we go. We have to ensure that we cut down on the amount of high salt foods that we're taking in, or high sodium foods that we're taking in, so that at the end of the day, we will be victorious. So eat well and make sure that you are doing some amount of physical activity, because that is also important. But make sure that you are doing what you are supposed to do. And as Mr. Golson said today, we want to follow those instructions as much as is possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ladies. Friends, don't forget to read your labels and choose food that have lower sodium content. Always remember that it is good for your health. And they told you about salt. I am going to tell you that you need to, doing all of that, make sure that you take adequate exercise. I do 3.8 miles 3 or 4 days a week, and that's good. Not about kilometer miles. 3.83. This morning I did 4.2 miles of brisk walking, which is good for your health, especially in these, again, COVID times. Eat right, eat healthy, exercise, stay 6 feet physical distancing from everybody. Be socially connected, but remember your 6 feet distancing. That is important. Wear your mask. You notice, because 3 of us are in here, we kept our mask on. Not that I think that they have COVID, right? But you don't know who have it and who don't. And I just told a doctor, it's just today before I came into the studio, that don't think of persons who might have COVID. Anybody. COVID knows no color, no race, no ethnic background, no rich, no poor, no middle class. No matter who you are, if you lay yourself careless, you can be infected. Today it was over 600 new cases. Yesterday it was over 800. People are dying, not because you're not seeing them in your community or in your district. People are dying. We need to be kind and caring one for the other. Remember, those who are younger, you have at home an elderly person with underlying illness that, if infected by the virus, could be fatal. Wash your hands, sanitize your hand. If you notice, Miss Lewis has her hand sanitizer. Hold it out, let them see it. Has her hand sanitizer beside her, right? And she uses it very regularly. To enter this building, you must have a mask. And we enter through the entrance. The first thing you see is a sign, please sanitize your hands, or else you can't get into this building. And if most of us practice that, we would be better. We can win, we can be victorious, we can be triumph over COVID if we do it that which is right. Let the partying stay until another time. We will keep our health, our lives, and after this has passed, this has come also to pass. Do not be negative about the vaccination. When your time comes, go get your jab. I will take mine. I just don't want to push myself in the front of the line. Eventually, I will get there. And I'm going to take my vaccine because I think it is important. I have to do a lot of public duties and I meet people every day. And so do you. There is no mark of the beast in the vaccine. That's nonsense. Hogwash. Don't believe. Right? Your health is important. God bless you. Thank you for being with us today. It was a pleasure to have Mrs. Lewis and Miss Golson with us. Last week, Friday, we had Dr. Tanique Bailey Small talking to us about the vaccine. Today, we have persons talking about salt awareness and how to stay healthy. That's what we do here at Faith Temple. We try to bring to you relevant information that you can stay healthy. Because if you're not healthy, you can't worship. If you're not healthy, you can't go to church. You can't lift your hand and praise God. You must be healthy. You can lie in your bed, yes. And you can communicate in your spirit, yes. But you'd rather be among God's people to worship. So please stay healthy. If you'd like to have more information on our ministry at Faith Temple, please go to our website. It is www.faithtempleaog.org. That's www.faithtempleaog.org. And you receive all the information that you need there. You can call us at 952-3436, 979-6856 for more information on our ministry. We meet at Faith Temple on Sundays now virtually at 8 a.m. and 11 a.m. 2 divine services on a Sunday. On Friday evening, we meet at 6:30 for our Bible studies. Our youth fellowship meets on a Friday at 7 p.m. And we continue during Holy Week coming up to be a week of fasting and prayer every week. We'll be on YouTube, Facebook, channel 253, and on Zoom for our week of fasting and prayer. You'll get much more information on that. Until then, God bless you. Let us pause for prayer, which is important. I want to express our condolences to Sister Daphne Grinion, who lost her brother on Sunday. Sister Grinion, our prayers are with you, and to others who have lost loved ones over the period. Father, we thank you for your goodness. We thank you for your mercies and your grace. You are indeed a good God. We lift up your name and we magnify you. We offer prayer today for our frontline workers in the Ministry of Health and Wellness, our doctors, our nurses, our nutritionists, the support staff that continue each day to be on the front line to deal with the many persons who are infected with the COVID-19 virus. And they themselves selflessly give to our community and to our people. We pray for your covering and for your continued blessing upon them, upon the Minister of Health and his team in the ministry. Continue to guide and to grant them divine strength and wisdom and knowledge that as they lead the ministry in these difficult times, it will be for the health, wellness, and benefit of your people. Bless each person who shared today and minister in a special way in Jesus' name. Amen. God bless you. Keep sweet.